Hey guys, Justin here. Do you love your custom GPTs, but you're ready to use them with an API? Not sure how to do that? Well, this video is for you. Today we're going to take a look at OpenAI's assistants via their API dashboard and learn how to build the same experience you get from a custom GPT with an OpenAI assistant so that you can leverage those capabilities via their API in an automated way to help you write LinkedIn posts, blog content, and do anything via an API automation. So let's dive in. All right, guys, now that we have logged into the OpenAI API dashboard, we're going to start out at what you always see at the very beginning, the chat prompt section. And then you're going to want to navigate over here on the left-hand side to Assistants. Click on Assistants. And this is where we're going to create our assistants that we can access via the OpenAI API. So when you're creating an assistant, you first can click on the Create button up here in the top right-hand corner. Once you begin the creation process, it's going to ask you to name your assistant. Let's just name it something like X Posting Assistant. And then you're going to input your system instructions. If you don't know how to make system instructions, this is the section where you're going to provide your instructions for your assistant so that it knows how to write like you and develop content that sounds authentic. So this is a really important section. You may have a document already to help you emulate your tone and voice. If you do not, that's okay. You can leverage OpenAI to help explain what this assistant is going to do. This assistant is going to write posts for my X account based on articles I provide. And OpenAI will help you write the system instructions for your assistant. After OpenAI is done helping write those system instructions, which here it is, nice, well thought out instructions for us, we can go ahead and select our model that we want to use. And you'll notice there are many OpenAI models that are available for your assistant creation. 4.0 is a fine model, does really good work. 4.1 is the most frontier model that you can access as of today, August 7th, when GPT-5 came out. They're still only letting you use 4.1 in assistant creation. So if you want the latest and greatest, you can use 4.1. If you want a thinking model for whatever task you're using, you can go to the 0.3 models or the 0.1 models, where you can access that thinking model that's going to think about its task before providing its answer. So let's go ahead and select 4.1 for today. The next thing you're going to notice that you can select are tools. Tools are really important. This is where you're going to provide files for the assistant to be able to access. So this is very similar to you uploading files to your custom GPT. These are files that the assistant's going to be able to leverage, search through to better provide the response that you're looking for whenever it's performing its task, in this case, writing an X post for us. So we're going to click the toggle on, let it search files, and then we're going to upload files of things that it would need to be able to use in order to write those X posts. Now, that could be other posts you've done in the past. That could be other content you've created. It could be your podcast, things like that, where you're going to upload that content so that the assistant can reference it when it's writing its response. You can also, instead of uploading files, select a vector store, which we covered vector stores in another video. This is a powerful addition to assistants where you can upload large amounts of content that are stored as a vector database within your OpenAI API environment. And let the assistant leverage that to prepare its response. Now, this is basically what your custom GPTs are doing with the files that you are uploading there. They're creating vector stores. They're able to reference those documents and providing their answers. And this is basically the API equivalent of a custom GPT. Some other things that you can turn on in terms of tools is adding a code interpreter. So if you were creating an assistant to do things like review your code, debug code, things like that, you could turn on code interpreter and supply files of your code that you want, the code interpreter to be able to leverage as good examples of code in the future. We're not going to be doing that today. That's not our use case. However, you could. Functions are another feature of assistants that are really, really powerful. And one of the things that we want to be able to do with our X post is allow our assistant to go out and review an article link that we're providing and write about that article as if it were us. So let's go ahead and create this custom function so that our assistant can go out and review the article. And we can use OpenAI to help us generate that. So we can say, I want to generate a function to allow my assistant to review an article link that I provide so that it can write my X post. All right, create. And what's really nice is OpenAI is going to help us do that with its generative AI models. And here we go. It has created a custom function to do exactly what we've asked it to do. So let's add that, review article for X post. And then the next couple of things that you can configure with your assistant are the response format. This is really interesting and helpful. You can have the response just generate text. So for an X post, this is perfectly acceptable. We just want text to write an X post. If you were doing something a little bit more complicated, like routing data into other systems, say maybe you're routing information about new leads into a CRM, or you're routing complex information into other systems, you can have your assistant output in either JSON as a single object. So you could name that object, X post, and it would output as a single JSON object, or you can leverage schema to output to have the output be mapped to several different schema items within JSON. So you could potentially have 5, 6, 7 different data labels and in your schema that can be mapped into a CRM for different properties, allowing you to dynamically map those things throughout a contact record or an account record. But yeah, that's another really awesome feature that you can use schema or a JSON object. All right, now that we've created our custom assistant in the OpenAI API, how are we going to use it? What are we going to use it to do? So what I've done is I've logged into make.com so that I can leverage my assistant in an automation to write LinkedIn posts for me. I know we talked about X posts before, but X LinkedIn doesn't matter. I actually don't have an X account. I only post on LinkedIn. So for me, LinkedIn would be the platform of choice. That being said, you'll notice in this automation, I've set up a Google form where I can easily come and just drop a link to an article that I've read that I think is interesting that I'd like to write a post about with some additional instructions for my assistant to leverage when generating its response. And that's going to kick off our workflow. So after I hit submit on my form, it's then going to ping my new assistant that I just made in my OpenAI portal. And in Make, you're going to just search for the OpenAI modules, and you're going to use the message and assistant module. Typically, we're using a create a completion prompt, which you can leverage assistants there too. But in order to call a specific assistant that you have created within your OpenAI API dashboard, you're going to use the message and assistant module. All right, so once I've added my message and assistant model, you'll notice the first thing it's going to ask for is which assistant do you want to message? Do you want to message your X posting assistant, your SEO optimizer assistant, or your LinkedIn posting assistant? Today, we're going to leverage our LinkedIn posting assistant. You'll realize that we actually have our custom function down here where it's asking for the link that our custom function is going to use when going out and researching that article that we just put into our Google form. And then we're going to be asked what kind of role is this assistant, are we that are engaging with our assistant? We're the user. And we're going to send a message to the assistant. We're going to say, please write an article about this link. Provide your output in text, not in Markdown. These models like to provide Markdown as their output all the time. So that's just a specific instruction I gave. I also gave some other instructions like don't use the dreaded EM dash. Don't use counterfactual statements or colons and headings, all dead giveaways of AI writing a post or writing content for you. If you had any image files, you could attach those here as well. We do not. If you had an image URL, you could attach it here. We don't have that today. And then there's several other things that we can enact. If we had not configured our assistant already, some of these things would be applicable. We've already selected our model. We've already selected our tools that our assistant can use. You don't need to select all of those here. So we're going to take our response in text because that's appropriate for what we're doing today. But again, if you wanted to have that JSON output or JSON schema, you could select object here for a single JSON object, or if you wanted schema and you had pre-configured schema as your assistant's output, you would select auto and you would let the assistant provide that in schema so that you can then map it to other modules in your workflow. And in the example of a Google Sheet, you could map that into, by schema object, different columns in a Google Sheet and have it, map that data to the appropriate column on the appropriate row. It's a pretty cool function that you can use to help you map data to different endpoints. All right, and so now that this is running, whenever we go out and fill out our Google form, it will execute and post to LinkedIn for us. I'm actually collecting all of my posts in a Google Sheet. So you can see I've run this several times. These are the kinds of posts that are being written by different TechCrunch articles. This one's on Google DeepMind's new Genie 3 world model, which is a really cool model. If you guys haven't checked that out yet, I encourage you to do so. Super, super cool. But yeah, that's how to leverage an assistant in an automation via the OpenAI API. It's the exact same thing as leveraging your custom GPTs to write content for you or do whatever you're doing in your chat console. This is just the way to leverage a custom GPT or the equivalent of that via the OpenAI API and AI assistants. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. And if you have ideas for videos in the future, feel free to leave me a comment below. Can't wait to see what you guys want me to record next. Thanks, and as always, have a great day.